Hi friend, I'm Lana, and today I'm going to talk about my life as a single parent. I was married for a while when I was in my early 20s, and we had a lot of problems. There was a lot of problems in the marriage. My ex-husband, I found out many years later that he didn't want to have children. In the beginning, he would just say, I'm not ready. Let's wait another year. Let's wait a couple of years. And that went on for a long time. Plus the fact that there's a lot of other problems, which I won't get into. But I finally left him, and I was scared. I was scared to be out on my own, but I did. I ended up buying a condo, and I started dating. And I met this wonderful man who I thought was wonderful, and I met him through a friend of mine. And at first I was a little hesitant because he was older than me. He was about 10 years older than me, but at the time I didn't like to date men more than 5 years older than me. But she had convinced me that he's a great guy and he doesn't look that old, and I think you have a lot in common. And we talked on the phone for a while, probably about a month. We talked on the phone and we just really had a good connection. And then when we finally met, he came to my condo and I opened the door and there he was, just a big smile. He had beautiful blue eyes, and I just thought, oh my gosh, this guy's gorgeous, because I've never even seen pictures of him. And we went on a great date, and then we were going out for a while, and then we started getting serious. And he talked about me moving in with him, and I knew that, maybe eventually I wouldn't mind doing that, but I felt like I finally have my independence, and I bought this condo and I didn't want to give it up. I just wanted more time, and that was fine with him too. And we talked about getting married. We talked about having kids, and he was the opposite of my ex-husband. He wanted to have kids. So I thought it was the perfect situation. He was so sophisticated and elegant, and he wined and dined me. He took me to really fancy restaurants, and he would take me to the theater, and we'd get all dressed up, and sometimes we would just do casual things, just putting on our sweats and then going for a hike. So there was a lot of variety in being with him. So I really like that. I like that lifestyle. And he was just wonderful and just very affectionate, very giving. He was just a wonderful person. I thought, okay, this is it. Well, eventually things were changing. He changed. So we ended up kind of splitting up, but still seeing each other occasionally. And I ended up getting pregnant. I don't really think I expected anything from him, but I just was hoping he would be a part of my daughter's life. And he ended up moving to another state when I was about 5 months pregnant. And I just figured, okay, that's the end of our relationship. And he would tell me that he would stay in touch and that he would either come to visit her or have her visit him. I was in California, he was in Florida. However, he didn't really take much of an interest. So I would get her pictures taken, and I had these cute, adorable pictures, and I would send it to him, and hoping he would look at this adorable little girl and think, yeah, I need to be a part of her life. But that never really seemed to inspire him, and he would just make up all kinds of excuses, and he would miss her birthdays, he would miss Christmas, and just nothing. And he would make up all these excuses. Well, you have to remind me when her birthday comes up. You have to remind you about Christmas. That didn't really make any sense. So I just wanted her to feel that she had a father in her life that would at least make some effort to see her, even if it was only once or twice a year. I wanted her to feel like she had a father. And it wasn't until she was maybe 7, 8, 9 years old that she would ask him, because kids at school would ask her, "Where's your daddy?" And then she'd come home and ask me, "Where's my daddy?" And I never said anything negative about him. I would just say, "Oh, he lives so far away. It's really hard for him to see you. He just lives so far away." Well, that excuse worked for a while, but by the time she was about 9 years old, she said, "Mommy, he can't, there are airplanes, there are cars. Why doesn't he come see me?" And I really didn't even know what to say. I would just say, "Oh, he's got such a busy career," that kind of thing. And I knew eventually she would wise up. And that was something that was really hard as a single mom. I do remember that when I was pregnant, I was terrified. And I talked to one of my coworkers at work, because she was a single mom, and I confided in her and asked her, "What is it like to be a single mom? Because I'm pregnant and I'm scared. I want the baby, but I'm scared." And she said, "I understand, and it is hard. It is hard being a single mom, but it's the best thing I've ever done, and I don't regret it. Anything worth having is going to be hard, and you're going to have some hard times. Even if there were two parents, it's going to be hard at times. If you have your baby, just know that it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be scary, and the financial aspect of it is scary, but you'll never regret it." And I can tell you to this day, I don't regret it. So at that time, I did a lot of research. I read some books about how to be a single mom and how to be a good parent. And sometimes while I was going to work, I would listen to this radio station, and this doctor would come on every morning. And I would say her name, but I won't. But she would talk about how wrong it is to be a single mom. That if you're single and if you're pregnant, you need to give the baby up for adoption. She felt very strongly about that a child will have a better life coming from two parents. So the best thing, the kindest thing for you to do is to give your baby up for adoption. And I thought, no way. So I made sure I did some research about how to raise a child, any child, whether you're married or not, how to raise a successful child. And one of the things it said is to talk to your child even when you're pregnant, when the baby is in your womb. Talk to your child and read to your child even when the baby is in your womb. And then when your child is born, talk to your child. Ask them questions, even though they can't respond, they can't talk. And that stimulates the brain, and it helps with their language skills, their reading skills, even when they're in your womb. So that's one of the things I did. And there were times that I lived with my parents until she was about almost 2 years old, a year and a half, 2 years old. And I would take her to the grocery store, and oftentimes my mother would say, "Oh, I'll watch her, you just go to the store." Like, no, I want to take her with me. And it was so much fun taking her to the grocery store. I didn't see it as work or hassle. And I would look at the shelves and I would say, "What would you like to eat today? Do you want peas? Do you want carrots? Do you want green beans?" We would just talk about everything that I had to pick up at the grocery store. And I continue that with reading to her every night. I read to her every single night until when she was about 7 years old. She said, "Mommy, can I read? Can I read to you?" And I said, Yes, absolutely. Of course you can read to me. She was such a good reader at such a young age. She got straight A's. Her teacher would tell her that she's a great reader and she's doing very well. She's one of the smartest kids in class. I got that a lot, and I felt really proud that I was doing my job, a good job as a mother. And it was so cute because when she was a little girl, I would read to her and then she would fall asleep. And then when she started reading to me, I would fall asleep. And she even had a little problem with the reading because she was the student when the teacher would ask, okay, who wants to read chapter 5? She was always the one, I do. However, when she, I think, got into maybe the 5th grade, I'm not sure exactly, and the teacher would say, okay, everyone be quiet and everyone read chapter 6. She had a hard time reading to herself. She would read, but she would whisper, and the teacher would tell her, no, you have to read silently. So it took a lot of practice for her to read to herself. I mean, she's perfectly fine now. And she's a voice actor. And she does voice narrations. That's something I could never do. A lot of people can't.
And I speak in front of the camera so well.
That's her. She's recording me. Well, that's true. That's true. So she had a lot of success in school when she was, I can't remember what age she was, maybe 11, 12. I got this memo from school about this essay, and if you write this essay and if you're selected, you can go to this youth writing program at Berkeley. And I thought, wow, that's a great opportunity. So I encouraged her to write an essay, and she did, and we turned it in, and she won a spot for this summer program for young writers. When I was preparing her to go to this program, she's like, wait a minute, I have to go in my summer break? And I said, yeah, it's no big deal. But Mom, it's my summer break. I'm not gonna have a summer vacation. I said, well, we already signed you up. You're already enrolled in this program, so you should just give it a try. This is a great opportunity. She did, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it because every student in that program was serious about reading, was serious about writing. They were all serious. In public school, you get a lot of mixture of different kids at different levels. But in that program, everybody was serious and everybody had something in common. They had reading and writing in common. And she met a lot of wonderful kids. It was a wonderful program for her that she loved. Thank goodness. And she didn't feel like she missed out on having a summer vacation. Another thing that I remember, I'm kind of bouncing around, but another thing that I remember is this doctor who I would listen to on the radio during my commutes. And she's the one that didn't believe in women being single parents or even men. But I made sure I did my research and I did everything possible to make sure she did well in school. I didn't do well in school and it was traumatic for me. But I wanted to make sure that my daughter had a chance and that she wasn't a statistic from being raised by a single mother. So I was really proud of her that she did so well, and I'm a little bit proud of myself that I helped her along. She probably would have been a straight A student anyways, but I feel like I gave her a little bit of an edge. And what is so crazy about that particular doctor, I listened to her many, many times for years because it motivated me to be the best mother I could possibly be. In spite of the challenges and the long work hours and the long commutes, my daughter doesn't remember any of that. She remembers all the good stuff. But what's crazy is that woman, she's a well-known doctor, therapist, psychiatrist, I don't know, ended up being one of my customers. And she was very nice. and she used my product, and she was a regular customer, and sometimes she would call on the phone. Sometimes my daughter would answer the phone, and many times I would answer the phone, and she would have a lot of questions. And what I liked is that she used my product and she did glass art, and then she would auction them off for charity, and she would donate all the money to charity. So I do like the woman. I just don't agree 100% about women should not be single moms, because we're not all the same. We don't belong in one box and there's no other options. You just belong in this box. You just don't become a single mom because you're going to destroy your children. A child could be messed up having two parents. I've seen that. I've seen that in my own home. So I have no regrets. My daughter turned out great, and we're very close. We've always been very close. I struggled a lot, but she has no idea as a child how much I struggled. I just loved being a mom. And sometimes I liked being a single mom because I didn't have to answer to anybody. Of course, it would have been better if there was a father involved, but that's something I had no control over. So I was going to be mom and dad and the best parent I could possibly be. So let me know if you have any similar situations. I'll see you in the next video. My daughter.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.